Alright, hello YouTube. Welcome back to my Scrabble Players Championship Series. This is round 19. This round I was playing Ori Swift. Ori Swift was in third place at the time. I was in second place. Jackson was in first place. Jackson a game ahead of me 2 games ahead of Ori and the rest of the field. So very important game. Um, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. Take the scoreboard away. Um, yeah, so Ori goes first in this game, and he plays Lun for 6 points. Um, so suspicious play, of course. Probably means he is close to something, but probably has a little bit too much on the constant side. Uh, on my end, I have 6 vowels and a blank, and I lot to play an exchange. Of course, you have to exchange here. But I decided to keep EI blank rather than E blank. And it's really, really close between the two. Quackle, the engine, prefers keeping just the E ever so slightly over keeping the E and the I. Of course, we know the I can duplicate. Um, but yeah, probably bingo. The thing is, I will bingo a bit more with EI blank, but the bingos that I have will score a little bit less, and there's a higher chance that I run into more vowel trouble. So because of that, it's very close, I guess, between keeping EI blank and keeping E blank. So I exchanged keeping EI blank, or he plays only. In this position, I decided to play Grainier. I was also considering playing Migraine, which was actually a more, how would you call it? A little bit more of a ugly choice. I can't find the word that I'm trying to use here. Um, Grim, maybe. No, not Grim. I wanted to play Migraine, potentially just to seemingly give a little bit less back than Granier. I'm not giving him the E and the R to play through. Rather, I'm giving him the M and the I to play through. Uh, but I am giving him a double double lane, and I am giving him the hook on Migraine. And yeah, I was thinking a lot about Migraine because I was having migraines um, at this point in the tournament. But enough about that. What was really funny is later later this round, the board adjacent to us, Ian Weinstein played Migraine for a lot more than 62. Anyways, what's important in this position is that only takes a hook of Sunly. And it's quite likely that Ori is aware of this, and somewhat likely he has an S. So I decided to play Grainier, just leave things a little bit more alone on the right side of the board, and maybe next turn, if I'm really lucky, I can actually play through this O and neutralize a lot of threats. So I play Grainier, and Ori plays a Go for 4, which I was very happy to see. It's only 4 points. It signals that his rack isn't fantastic. So here, there are a few options. This position, the highest equity play is Kodeya for 30. It's a very nice way to score 30 points, but it does keep WI. And the big deal here is that Kodeya opens lane with this D, with this O, but especially this C. And for those that are new to watching me, hello. Well, one of the things I say often is people underestimate how dangerous a C is in a corner or middle of the board. So if you put a C on a triple, and you can make an 8-letter word starting in C to hit the other triple, almost definitely it's going to happen at some point in the game. It's just very, very difficult to block, and the C starts more bingos than any other letter in the alphabet other than the S. So the S, of course, is the most dangerous letter to put like here in any of these spots. And a ton of words start in S, but also a ton of words start in C. So I really didn't like this, especially given the play of a Go. that Ori made, and I decided to make a little bit of a sacrifice. I also consider playing Weirdo or Cowrie, these two plays as well. And what these do is they open a sevens lane, but they also block the E and the R as eights lanes. I didn't like either of those. I thought I could do better. There's also the option of Dowie for 18. That also creates a little bit more of a situation where I'm blocking stuff. But I decided I would play Dowie for 21. And I'm not actually sure about this. It's possible I should have just played Dowie for 18, or even Owie. No, maybe Owie as well. But I think Dowie does very well, and it's a good adjustment to make. Blocking the sevens lane, and you now have to bingo through an E or an R, or have some bingo through an I. And yeah, none of these positions are great. So I decided to play Dowie, sacrifice 9 points, keep CI, which is better than WI, and yeah, try and survive. So I do this, or he bingos with Priorate. So her Priorate of note, if I played Cordelia, he would have had Operatic, but I still didn't stop him. So here I drew this rack, and yeah, little bit of color commentary here. I was just getting back from lunch when I was hearing the announcement, the post-lunch announcement that a trivia game was taking place that evening. And yeah, there's almost always like a trivia event at big Scrabble tournaments. Scrabble players love trivia. Trivia players don't love Scrabble enough, though. Like, there should be a little bit more of a two-way street there. So I thought it was really funny when I played trivia, and in a very rare thing, it's not usually like very good etiquette to do this. I played this, hit my clock, and said, I played trivia. And I thought I would get like 1 laugh, 2 laughs, 3 laughs, maybe even 5 or 6 laughs of all the people within earshot that thought it was funny. But it was just, yeah, it was just radio silence. And I felt like a complete and utter socially inept person, which is what I am. So trivia comes down, and Ori plays Vagel. And in this position, I spent a really long time. Of course I did. It's a blank. And I ended up playing Airlock. Well, the problem was I couldn't remember if airsock was a word. I was like, it's airsock? That doesn't look right. Maybe it's orsick. Like, I know that I've seen this. I've tried to study it, and I've gotten it wrong all the time. I think it's probably Orsic, but I'm not sure enough. But at least I have airlock. There is a word with an S, and that word scores a lot more points here, 98 to be precise. Arcosic is a word, which, yeah, I mean, you just got to know this. I did not see it, and I don't think I would have been sure enough of it to play it. And it's 12 more points, so it seems clear that this is a better play, but actually, because you're opening a spot for a J, an X, and just anything, I'm actually increasing Ori's score next turn by a whopping, I think, over 10 points, maybe even like 15, just by opening this crazy spot. And as a result, it's close between playing Arcosic and Airlock. So this wasn't necessarily a mistake. I think it probably was a bit better to just take the points, even though it's really, really scary. But yeah, definitely, probably an inaccuracy. I definitely should have seen and considered Arcosic. Here, Ori plays Za, which is very interesting. If you notice, there's only 2 unseen A's from his perspective here. And he almost definitely has another one. So that's the reason he played Za. He's trying to score a lot next turn, create a threat. He probably couldn't do much about this K. And in this position, I looked at the unseen letters, realized there are only 2 A's. I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to draw an A. He probably has an A. How do I deal with this? Do I do something like left for 16 just to block the threat? Or do I score a little bit more and numb the threat a little bit? So I decided I would play foes for 33 to take an 86-point lead. And my thinking was I have the last L for Opal, and there are three S's, but it makes it a lot harder to use this O2 spot by playing Opa. Before Opa, you could put a C, a D, an H, an M, an N, a P, an R, an S, a T, a W, an X, and a Y here. And after this, you can only put an L and an S, or so I thought. Well, there's another letter that goes after OPA, and that's an H. And Ori hits me hard with Ahi for 60, and I felt really stupid and wondered if I had made a mistake. But I think Foes is still the correct play. There's no guarantee that Ori has an H, but he did, and it was a nice setup. But I think I still made the right decision. And here, I did not. Here, I wavered a little bit, and I played just OX and XI for 36. I shouldn't have done this. I should have taken a little bit less for a detox for 30, leave myself with GLT, which is more workable than DGLTTE. And yeah, this also plays a little bit more tiles, tries to like clarify the game a little bit more, blocks a tad, but mostly it's just much more workable to keep GLT versus keeping what I kept, DEGLTT. So Detox would have been a better play, and this was a small mistake on my part. Ori responds with Outrank, and I was really lucky he didn't have an S. I was very surprised that the last tile didn't come down. But yeah, consider myself grateful that he didn't have an S there. Outranks would have been really bad for me. And luckily, I draw an E. So I'm able to draw another vowel. If I drew another consonant after OX, I would be in big trouble here. I might not even be ahead. It would just be like very difficult to play. But I can play Gleed here. Of note, I could play Letted as well, but there's no reason to give back this big triple spot. Keeping the TT is okay here, just to reduce Ori's score by a few points. So this is what I do, and Ori makes a very nice play of Nut Job to respond. And I draw another somewhat balanced rack, and I play Centner. I could have drawn a lot worse after keeping just TT, but Centner was really nice. It really neutralized the R and the T of trivia that have been just hanging out there for the entirety of the game. And now there's really almost nowhere to bingo for Ori. And the unseen letters aren't so great. There are no ING possibilities because both blanks are gone and there's no N's left. So it seemed pretty good here. Of course, not totally won. I'm only up 50 points. But Ori responds with Dose, trying to create another threat. And he's going down by 22 points. But luckily for me, I drew the last two unduplicated vowels, which means the only vowels left after Dose are three E's. And in this position, it seemed very difficult for me to lose. And I took a while trying to find the threats in the position, and realized that most of the threats were not here, but rather here. I don't exactly remember what I found, but just trust me. I decided to play Few for 32 to take a 54-point lead. And in this position, Ori, nothing better to do, decides to just play Fs. And the Q being unseen was one of the other factors. And I figured that if Ori did have a bingo but then drew the Q, I would still be somewhat likely to win the game, as it would be very difficult to unload it. And here, and also I'm keeping the U. I'm not sure if I already said that, but I'm keeping the U, so this looked very nice. It's possible that I made a mistake here as well, but I also had a Wimpier for 30, which is really nice. It doesn't really block anything. Maybe there really isn't much to block. I mean, I'm just looking at this, like, what could he even have? Redefies? No, that doesn't fit. Frisbees doesn't fit. I don't know. I feel like I saw something or one or two things, but seemed really, really unlikely. Hit bingo. But yeah, Wimpier might be good to get rid of a few of the clunky tiles on my rack. So I don't know. I guess Few does that as well, but this is a nice play too. But I think Few is fine. Jesus, I'm rambling. Yeah, this game wasn't super interesting. Here, I decided to play Miter, and I was really upset at this. Like, I'm just winning the game. I don't know why I was nervous here, but I was. And I just had Muter, and I'm like, yeah, that's a word. Um, why don't I just play Muter? And then for some reason, I was just like, well, it makes no difference. Like, I have MIMU, doesn't really matter. I'll just play Miter. I'm 100% sure of Miter and only 99.5% sure of Muter. So why not just go with what I'm sure of? And this is a huge endgame blunder because what I need to realize is that if I keep the I rather than the U, Ori basically is either forced to play QIS and priorits and give me MIR, or with the Q there, that's 10 plus 22, so that's 32 points. So he either has to do that or not play the Q. And it's actually correct for him after Muter to not play the Q just by a couple of points. But I should have just played Muter. I just didn't even realize like what was about to happen. Even though I knew that he was going to play here, I didn't realize it was giving me MIR. So that was a really, really bad vision on my part. Um, so yeah, threw away a lot of spread there. This allows Ori to just play QIS, and I play MU to go out, and I win 426 to 362. Um, and this is really important because what ends up happening um, is I'm now 15 and 4 plus 7, what is it, 64 points. So plus 732. Yeah. So yeah, 15 and 4 plus 732. But what's more important than that is what happened in Jackson's game. And in Jackson's game, he actually lost to Kevin Fraley on stream. And now, um, after this game, Jackson and I are tied in wins. So I'm down by a lot of spread. Of course, I never had good spread this tournament, but we're both 2 games ahead of the field, and I'm now given a chance at redemption playing Jackson on stream. He has already beaten me this tournament and increased his wins against me by a factor of, well, not a factor of, but after his win in round 12, our lifetime tournament record was slightly askew in his favor, and I had the opportunity to tie it up again. So I really wanted to win the next game, and actually, the next game is probably the most important game of the tournament thus far because it's getting late, around 20 of 28, and if I'm able to beat Jackson and take my first lead in nationals, I'm way, way likelier to be able to make the finals. Of course, we're both like not locked in, but very much the most likely candidates to make the finals at this point, being 2 games clear of the field. But with 8 games to go, anything can happen. So I will show you guys that game tomorrow, and I will also show you the board that we used. A little bit, I think I was sweating. I think my phone camera was a little bit blurry there, which it is in other photos as well. So this is the final game against Ori. I got my revenge against Ori. Time to get my revenge against Jackson. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the next episode. Thanks for watching. Let me know if I missed anything.